The time is precisely 6:15. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here's the news edited and read by Ramesh Perez. The headlines. The President reveals plans for AI-driven agricultural transformation in Sri Lanka. 4 Army personnel acquitted over 2013 Ratupaswala shooting. The second phase of the Aswasima program receives over 300,000 applications. The government to draft a patient safety rights charter to ensure the safety of hospitalized patients. Eyes worth 100 million rupees found inside a parcel from Gautamala. A special traffic plan to be implemented on the National War Heroes Day ceremony at the Parliament grounds on Sunday. Sri Lanka's Dinara in Forbes 30 Under 30 Asia list. In international news, Israel accuses South Africa of false claims at the ICJ. In sports, warm-up fixtures announced for the ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2024. Now the local news in detail. President Ranil Wickremesinghe today announced plans to transform Sri Lanka's agriculture sector using modern technology, including artificial intelligence, and to support private sector entrepreneurs interested in this initiative. He stated that this year 100 divisional secretariat divisions have been selected for agricultural modernization. The President made this announcement while observing the first AI-driven greenhouse in Sri Lanka, AI Grow, built by Dr. Harsha Subasinghe in Nelumdeniya, Kegol this morning. The 4 accused in the case over the shooting to death of 3 persons and injuring 45 others during a protest by villagers demanding clean drinking water at Ratupaswala in 2013 have been acquitted by the Gampaha High Court trial at bar. Delivering the verdict in the case today, the court ordered to acquit and release the 4 Sri Lankan army personnel, including a major general and 3 soldiers. On the 1st of August 2013, army personnel opened fire at unarmed villagers at Valivaria, killing 3 and injuring several others, and they protested against a factory which they said polluted their groundwater and demanded clean drinking water. The government has decided to draft a patient safety rights charter to ensure the safety of hospitalized patients. Health and Industries Minister Dr. Ramesh Patirana said that as per the reports from many countries in the world, 1 out of 7 patients who are hospitalized face issues in the hospital, as it is a global situation. The minister stated this in the discussion held with the hospital staff on Wednesday after participating in a special inspection tour to find out about the current condition of the Gampaha Watupitiwala Base Hospital. The minister also said that he decided to prepare this charter considering the problems faced by the patients during hospitalization. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing with more local news. Sri Lanka Customs have detected a large consignment of ice, also known as crystal methamphetamine, valued at around 100 million rupees, which had reportedly arrived in a parcel from Gautamala through airmail service. The cache of drugs were found concealed inside a car engine part and was contained in a parcel sent to a bonded cargo warehouse attached to a courier service in Sidua. The parcel had been addressed to a 25-year-old farmer residing in the Jayantipura area of Polonnaruwa. The Sri Lanka Customs officials later apprehended the suspect. Meanwhile, authorities at Karnataka Airport apprehended 2 suspects in connection with the illegal import of state-of-the-art mobile phones and pen drives. The suspects were found in possession of 1,083 latest mobile phones from various brands and 200 pen drives. The items were allegedly brought into the country from Dubai. The suspects, both residents of Colombo, were taken into custody. Forbes announced the 9th edition of its 30 Under 30 Asia list, featuring 300 young entrepreneurs, leaders and trailblazers across the Asia-Pacific region. All 300 in the list are under the age of 30, who are leading the transformation of industries and finding innovative ways to navigate new business realities in the region. Among them is Sri Lankan actress Dinara Punchiheva. Dinara burst on the Sri Lankan cinema scene in 2018 by writing, acting and directing her own short film Mada, which was screened at international film festivals and caught the attention of Sri Lankan filmmaker Prasanna Vitanage, who cast her in Gati, Children of the Sun. Since then, she has been in 4 other films. Punchi Heva, a graduate of Queen Mary University of London, went on to form Punchi Actors, a non-profit entity that introduces children from low-income families to theatre and acting. And that concludes local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
Moving on to the main news story. The second phase of the Aswasma program has received 450,404 applications. State Finance Minister Shehan Simasinger announced that 84% of these applications, totaling 377,485, have been incorporated into the system. To bolster this initiative, 2,000 newly recruited Grama Niladhari officials will engage in the process. Minister Simasinger emphasized that allowances will be provided to other parties involved in the census work. A related cabinet paper will soon be submitted for approval. That came to you in the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
In Watchlight this evening, the National War Heroes Day ceremony is scheduled to be held on Sunday evening at the Parliament grounds. Hence, the police announced a special traffic plan to be implemented on that day. Accordingly, the entry and exit lanes towards Parliament Road are closed from Polduva Junction to Kianham Junction from 3 p.m. on the 19th of May. Motorists are advised to use alternate routes during the closure of the above road. And that came to you in Watchlight. Moving on to the bulletin of world news, first the headlines. Israel accuses South Africa of false claims at the ICJ. US confirms first aid trucks arrive via Gaza Pier. Colombia hunts for assailants after Bogota prison director shot dead. Now the world news in detail. Israel has accused South Africa of distorting reality in its attempt to get the UN's top court to force it to stop its military campaign in the town of Rafah in southern Gaza. The International Court of Justice began 2 days of hearings on Thursday when South Africa told the court that Israel intended to wipe the Palestinians off the face of the earth, calling Rafah the final stand. Lawyers for Israel are presenting their response to the court today. The court is already considering a case brought by South Africa in January, accusing Israel of committing genocide against the Palestinians in Gaza. U.S. military has confirmed that the first aid shipment via a temporary pier off Gaza has gone ashore. U.S. Central Command confirmed in a post on X that the aid trucks began moving ashore at about 0900 local time. The post read, adding that no U.S. troops went ashore and commented that this is an ongoing multinational effort to deliver additional aid to Palestinian civilians in Gaza via a maritime corridor that is entirely humanitarian in nature. However, the UN has warned that the maritime corridor is not a replacement for land routes, which are seen as the quickest and most effective way of delivering aid. The new director of the Colombia's biggest prisons has been shot dead, the authorities said, after receiving threats against him and his family last week, prompting the government to order a massive operation in the capital to hunt down the assailants. Elmer Fernandez's killing in Bogota on Thursday comes after the government declared a prison emergency in February amid a surge in causes of prison riots, homicides, attacks and threats against prison personnel in several jails across the country. The former police colonel and current director of Bogota's La Modelo prison was returning home from work when gunmen opened fire, killing him with a single shot to the head as he sat in the passenger seat. Back to the headlines of the world news. Israel accuses South Africa of false claims at the ICJ. US confirms first aid trucks arrive via Gaza Pier, and Colombia's hunts for assailants after Bogota prison director shot dead. And that concludes World News.
Development News.
Moving on to development news. Aviation Minister Nimal Siripala de Silva says the resumption of the passenger ferry service between Nagapattinam in India and the Kankasanthire region near Jaffna in the northern province of Sri Lanka has been delayed again for an indefinite period. The passenger ferry service between Nagapattinam in Tamil Nadu and Kankasanthire, a suburb of Jaffna district, which was to resume on the 13th of May, was delayed due to a technical shortcoming, the Aviation Minister said on Wednesday. The service, launched in October last year after nearly 40 years, was halted a few days later owing to rough weather. Since then, the resumption of the service, which is a vital component of Sri Lanka-India maritime cooperation, has been delayed 3 times. India has also extended a grant assistance of $63.65 million, the entire project cost, to Sri Lanka to rehabilitate the Kankasanthurei port in the northern province. And then came to you in development news.
Moving on with sports news.
And in sports, it's cricket. The ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2024 warm-up match fixtures have been announced, scheduled from Monday the 27th of May to the Saturday 1st of June across the USA and Trinidad and Tobago. The venues hosting the 16 warm-up matches ahead of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2024 include Grand Prairie Cricket Stadium in Texas, Brownwood County Stadium in Florida, Queen's Park Oval and Brian Lara Cricket Academy in Trinidad and Tobago. A total of 17 teams play the warm-up games, including South Africa, who are playing an extra squad on the 29th in Florida. These warm-up fixtures will be 20 overs per side and will not have international T20 status, allowing teams to field all members of their 15-player squad. And that was Sports News.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු වීන හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
In business news, the U.S. Embassy in Colombo is set to host a satellite event of the Indo-Pacific Business Forum under the theme Driving Sustainable Development in the Port Sector on the 21st of May. The event will take place concurrently with the 6th Indo-Pacific Business Forum in Manila, Philippines, co-hosted by the U.S. Trade Development Agency and the Government of the Philippines in partnership with the U.S. Department of State. Business and stakeholders from across the Indo-Pacific region are invited to participate in this significant event. For those unable to attend in person, online registration is available through the main website IndoPacificBusinessForum.com. The initiative aims to enhance energy efficiency by reducing waste and emissions while promoting environmentally responsible shipping and transportation practices and developing renewable energy capabilities, including solar and wind energy production at the ports. And that was Business News.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු වීන හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
In economic news, the International Monetary Fund has highlighted Sri Lanka's commendable macroeconomic policies, rapid inflation decline and steady economic growth. Addressing a press briefing held on Thursday in the Washington, D.C., the director of IMF Communications, Julie Kozak, said with respect to Sri Lanka's economic performance, macroeconomic policies in Sri Lanka are starting to bear fruit. Commendable outcomes include a rapid decline in inflation, robust reserve accumulation and initial signs of economic growth, while also preserving stability in the financial system. Overall performance has been strong. Meanwhile, the IMF Communications Director further stated that the completion of the review by the Executive Board of the IMF requires 2 things: the implementation by the authority of the agreed prior actions and completion of the Financing Assurances Review. And that was economic news.
Weather report.
And finally, we move on to the weather report. The Met Department forecasts showery and windy conditions to enhance during the next few days from this evening due to pre-monsoonal conditions over the country and surrounding sea areas. Showers or thunder showers will occur at times in the western, Sabaragamu, northwestern and northern provinces and in the Kandy, Nuwara Eliya, Galle and Matara districts. Heavy showers above 100 millimeters are likely at some places in the western, Sabaragamu and northwestern provinces and in the Galle and Matara districts. Strong winds about 30 to 40 kilometers per hour can be expected at times over the island. The general public is kindly requested to take adequate precautions to minimize damage caused by temporary localized strong winds and lightning during thunder showers. And that was the weather report. And now to conclude this news broadcast, a recap of the main news headlines. The President reveals plans for AI-driven agricultural transformation in Sri Lanka. 4 army personnel acquitted over 2013 Rathupaspala shooting. The second phase of the Aswasma program receives over 300,000 applications. The government to draft a patient safety rights charter to ensure the safety of hospitalized patients. Eyes worth around 100 million rupees found inside a parcel from Guatemala. A special traffic plan to be implemented on the National War Heroes Day ceremony at the Parliament grounds on Sunday. Sri Lanka's dinner in Forbes 30 under 30 Asia list. In international news, Israel accuses South Africa of false claims at the ICJ. And in sports, warm-up fixtures announced for the ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2024. And with that, we conclude this news broadcast from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Back to your Friday evening's hostess, Santhi Thavam, to keep you company till end of transmission. Over to you, Santhi.